Welcome to FluentRoom. Let's be honest, most of us start our day in a digital fog. We wake up, and before we've even taken a breath, we're scrolling. We're checking emails, news, or social media. Dr. Aris, you've mentioned before that this habit is a fundamental mistake. Why is it so damaging?
It's great to be back, Leo. The problem is that the modern morning has become a race for cheap wins. When you scroll, you're giving your brain a quick, artificial rush of excitement. It feels good for a second, but you're essentially spending your best mental energy on things that don't matter. By the time you sit down to work, you're already feeling restless and drained.
You often use the metaphor of a seesaw in our minds to explain our habits. For those watching who want to improve their willpower, how does this work in daily life?
Think of your brain's reward system as a seesaw. On one side is pleasure, and on the other is effort. Your brain always wants to keep this level. When you overload the pleasure side early in the morning with your phone or sugar, the brain balances it by pushing down on the effort side. This is why suddenly the idea of doing real work feels painful.
So, if we want a sustainable boost in mood, we actually need to start with a little bit of effort or discomfort.
Exactly. If you start with something slightly challenging, like a 5-minute meditation, a cold shower, or even just reading a difficult book, your brain balances that effort by giving you a steady, natural calm that lasts all day.
Let's talk about a very actionable tip you always mention: sunlight. Most people reach for a double espresso before they even look at a window. Is caffeine a bad substitute for light?
Caffeine is a tool, but it's not a foundation. Natural light is a biological signal. When light hits your eyes in the morning, it sets a circadian timer in your brain. This timer tells your body when to be alert, and more importantly, when to start feeling sleepy 16 hours later.
So, if you're struggling with sleep at night, the solution might actually be what you do at 8 a.m.
Precisely. It's a ripple effect. One good habit in the morning makes every other habit easier to maintain.
One of my favorite takeaways from your work is the concept of friction. How can we use this to break the smartphone addiction?
Friction is just the amount of effort required to do something. If your phone is on your pillow, the friction is zero. You'll use it. If you put it in a different room, you've added friction. That small physical distance gives your thinking brain a chance to say, wait, do I really need to check this right now?
It's such an insightful way to look at it. It's not that we lack self-control, it's that we make our distractions too easy to reach.
Exactly, Leo. If you protect your first hour, you protect your whole day. It's about building a life that feels rewarding because of what you achieve, not what you consume.
Before we wrap up, Dr. Aris, I want to touch on something we often overlook. We've talked about sunlight and phones, but what about the people around us? Most of us wake up and immediately check messages or social media comments. How does our social morning affect our brain chemistry?
That is a vital point, Leo. Humans are social animals, and social validation, like a like or a positive message, is a massive dopamine trigger. The problem is that when we look for this validation first thing in the morning, we are outsourcing our happiness. We are basically letting other people's opinions dictate our mood for the day.
So, it's another form of cheap dopamine, but this time it's emotional rather than just digital.
Exactly. It's what we call external validation. If the first thing you do is check how many people liked your post, your brain becomes dependent on that external hit. If the numbers are low, your seesaw tips toward pain or disappointment immediately.
What's the healthier alternative? Should we just ignore everyone until noon?
Not necessarily. The goal is to prioritize internal connection first. Spend 5 minutes talking to your partner, playing with your pet, or even just writing in a gratitude journal. These slow social interactions release oxytocin and steady your dopamine levels. Rather than causing a sharp spike and crash, it builds a much more stable emotional foundation.
I love that. So instead of reacting to the world, we take a moment to connect with ourselves and our immediate surroundings first. It sounds like a much more intentional way to live. Dr. Aris, thank you for joining us today and giving our viewers some truly valuable tools for their daily lives. Now, before we head out, let's look at some of the key English expressions we use today. If you're aiming for a C1 level, these are words that will make your English sound much more natural and sophisticated. First, we have fundamental. This means something is the base or the most important part of a system. Example, getting enough sleep is fundamental to your physical health. Then we have the ripple effect. This is a situation where one event causes a series of other events to happen, like a stone thrown into a pond. Example, the decision to start exercising had a ripple effect on my diet and my sleep quality. Next is struggling. This means having a hard time doing something or facing a lot of difficulty. Example, if you're struggling to stay awake in the afternoon, your morning routine might be to blame. Dr. Aris also mentioned a biological signal. This is a message your body sends to its systems to trigger a specific reaction. Example, morning sunlight acts as a biological signal that tells your brain to stop producing sleep hormones. We also use the word sustainable. This means something that can be maintained for a long time without failing. Example, a 10-minute walk every day is more sustainable than a 2-hour gym session that you quit after a week. Don't forget, takeaways. These are the most important pieces of information or advice that you learn from a discussion or a book. Example, one of the main takeaways from today's talk is to keep your phone out of the bedroom. Now, let's look at artificial. This refers to something man-made or fake. Example, the blue light from your phone is an artificial light that confuses your brain. We also used restless. This is that itchy feeling when you can't relax or focus. Example, I felt restless all afternoon because I didn't get my morning walk. One of my favorite words is actionable. This describes advice that is practical and ready to use. Example, instead of just giving us theory, the teacher gave us actionable tips for the exam. We use the seesaw as a metaphor. It's that playground board that goes up and down, representing a balance between two things. Example, my mood is like a seesaw depending on how much coffee I've had. And finally, willpower. This is your inner strength to say no to a distraction. Example, it takes a lot of willpower to walk past a bakery without buying a donut. And finally, insightful. This describes information that shows a deep and accurate understanding of a complicated subject. Example, that was an insightful analysis of why we crave social media. Now it's your turn. Practice using one of these words, maybe ripple effect or sustainable, in the comments below. I'll be replying to the most creative sentences. If you found today's session insightful and you want to level up your English while improving your life, make sure to like this video and subscribe to FluentRoom. We post new deep dive conversations every week to help you stay sharp and stay focused. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss a lesson. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.